Hi everyone, my name is Patricia Wooster, and today we're going to talk about what is the fastest way to write a terrible book. So let's get started. So today I'm going to use the whiteboard a little bit to demonstrate some of these. So if you want to take notes or just follow along, that's great. So one of the terrible pieces of advice that I hear is that you should just start writing what you know. And that's the only direction. So it's like figure out how many words you want to write per day or how long you're going to write and just start randomly just like writing things down. Okay? And there's no like outline or any sort of plan in place. It's just kind of like a random rumbling. And you'll read in a lot of books about how to write a book or courses or something. And they'll say, just get the words on paper. Just write as fast as you can. The hardest part is getting those initial words on paper and then you can edit later. Okay, so there's some truth to that. But that overall idea that you should just start writing quickly or dictate very quickly and just get a bunch of words is just leading you down this terrible road. And what happens is if you take your phone one day and just try this and you download a dictation app or go into your notes and do dictation and you just start talking about, say, what you know about what your topic is. So say your topic's real estate and you just start rambling on. Then you get the dictated document and you have to clean it up. It is such a freaking mess that it actually would be easier to have a plan, be organized, and do some like pre-work so that you don't have this kind of mess to deal with. And can you imagine dealing with like 30 to 50,000 words worth of a mess? So the problem with that is there's no foundation. So what your book needs is some sort of foundation. And I am going to give you a couple of ways that you can do this. The easiest is with a mind map. So start with your subject. So for me, it would be nonfiction writing. Okay, so if I was going to write a book for you about how to write a book, my key topic would be how to write a book, right? So then I have to think of what are all the different components of that? What do I know about writing a book? Okay, so there's audience. All right, so that's one wing. All right, then there's your overall message. Okay, what am I trying to teach them? What is my number one result that I'm trying to deliver to them? What do I want them to know? Then there's publishing methods. And what I mean by this is, are you going to traditional publish? Are you going to self-publish? What are the pros and cons of that? And sort of explaining what that looks like. Okay? Then it could be accountability. So this is like, do you write every day? How many words per page? How do you set up a schedule? And so like, how do you get the book written? Okay. Then it could be launching. All right. And marketing. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating a mind map. So what you can do is mind map your subject, right? So come out with like the biggest key ideas. And I could keep going and going, but you get the point. Then what you're going to do, so say these are kind of your chapters of your book, right? So this is the main idea, which you'll create a title out of. These are the chapters. And then for each one, for your subheadings within your chapters, you can start saying like, okay, so what do I need to know about my audience? I need to know their challenges. All right. I need to know their fears. I need to know their goals. See what I'm doing here? So basically, I'm creating like a visual outline of the book. So that's one way you can do it, okay? And then you can create an outline from it, and you can even go to like a Google Doc or Word, and you can go ahead and set these headings up so you can jump within the document. So, I mean, this is kind of jumping ahead, but say you're writing a book, and this is chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And say you sit down to write, and you're really like, if you're writing in order, you're maybe only part of the way through chapter 1, but you think of an idea or a story or something that applies to launching and you don't want to forget it, you already have your book laid out, so you can go ahead and plop that in there, okay? So that's a way to utilize that fast writing technique of like what comes to mind, but you're plopping it in like an organized manner, all right? And then now I'm going to show you a different way to build your book. And I use a combination of these with my high impact book formula. When I coach clients, we do mind mapping, but we first do this other exercise. So this is building the foundation, okay? So first, you have your reader. You figure out who your reader is, right? And this person, it's not just your, you know, we learn about avatars, okay? And if you don't know what an avatar is, it's what is that ideal reader that you're talking to, okay? And this could be, not everybody will fit in the category, but when you're writing your book, you kind of want to be writing it to somebody. So for my reader, for that nonfiction book, it would be somebody who is an entrepreneur, a coach, a public speaker, thought leader, or somebody that wants to inspire change, okay? So that is my ideal reader, all right? So that is my avatar 1. Then I am going to define the 10x version of that same person. So what it is this reader comes to me, avatar 1, because they have a challenge or a question they want answered that they feel like my book can address, okay? So that's the struggling version of them. The 10x version is understanding who my reader wants to be 3 to 5 years from now. What are their goals, their dreams? So maybe they come to me because they don't know how to write a nonfiction book, right? The 10x version of them has this dream of writing this book and it helping them get on stages and then become a public speaker or to grow their coaching business. That's their 10x version. Once I understand that, I can use language in my book, including case studies and research and stories that support that big dream of them. This 10x version is the person that you can impact and empower change within. They're the ones that are going to go to your call to action at the end of the book and look up your website and want to keep doing business with you. These are the ones that are ready to see it through. So you want to get to that person. Then we establish the number 1 result. I call this mastering your message. What is the number 1 result that you want to deliver to your reader by the end of your book? This is so important, okay? That you are not writing a websites for dummies book or a how-to book. You are delivering a result. If you try to resolve too many problems, you're going to resolve no problems, okay? And we talk about customer journey is like this. It's not a straight line, okay? So they start here in your book and you have all these chapters and supporting evidence that gets them to this number 1 result. So the number 1 result for my book when it comes to my messaging is that when people are done reading my nonfiction book about how to write a nonfiction book, is I want them to have the foundation established for their book, which means I want them to understand who their reader is, the 10x, the number 1 result, and their core value alignment. And what I mean by this is if you write yourself into a result where you don't want your reader to be, that's another sign of a terrible book. So what I mean by this is you're going to want your reader to take a next step with you. And if you don't have a call to action or next step for your reader, then I'm not sure why you're writing your book, because you want them to take action. You've established this great relationship with them if you've written a good book, and you want to continue to build on that relationship. But you want it to align with where you want to be. So for example, I used to be a children's book author, and my career evolved to where I was working with a different demographic. Now, if I write a book about what I know about children's books, okay, I'm going to attract a certain type of reader who is going to want to, which is probably interested in children's books, and they're going to want to do something with me here at the end that has to do with children's books. Now, if I don't want to be in that market anymore, I've just sort of pigeonholed myself, or I've led them to somewhere where there's no other programs or activities for them to take advantage of. However, if my goal, my 10x version of my career is that I want to work with high performers and I want to make a high impact with books, then I want to lead the reader to wanting to work with me in that capacity. So we're sort of aligning these, it's the reader 10x, it's your 10x. Then the last sign of a truly terrible book is when people get so excited to get it out there that they forget the finishings. And what I mean by this is, I don't care who you are, you need to send your book out for professional editing. I hire really expensive editors to work on my books personally. And I do this for a living. But I understand, because I've been traditionally published and I've worked with Simon & Schuster and some of the best publishers, how much editing goes into these amazing books that you pick up at the bookstore. And if you're self-publishing, you want your book to be just of high quality. They will find gaps. It's not just proofreading and grammar. They'll find gaps because you're so close to your topic and your information that you don't even understand that you know things that other people don't, and maybe you haven't filled that in. They'll look for transition or flow if things need to be moved around. All kinds of details that once you get immersed in your project, it's really hard to see, or maybe you don't even know they exist. So editing is part of the finishings. Interior formatting. So how your book is laid out on the inside with headings and subheadings, and you might have dark boxes around stories you tell. The formatting of it too is a really sure sign of a rookie book versus one that's really professionally put together. And then absolutely not last but not least is your cover design. I mean, you can have the most phenomenal information in your book, but if your cover design doesn't match its category, it doesn't look professional, it's really hard to understand, you get the picture. Looks matter on your cover. So you really need to put a lot of thought into your cover. There's research that you need to do about colors and fonts and what fits in, like the category of books that you're in. Your romance cover is going to look a lot different than a book that is for professional development. You're going to want to research good cover designers and things like that. These are all things that, I work with clients on, and I really stress that finishing part because people won't even get into your amazing teachings or solutions in your book if they can't get past the way it's packaged. So anyway, I hope I gave you some really great ideas on how to sort of avoid creating a terrible book. The way we do it when I'm working with clients is we establish this first. We do activities that help us identify these kind of foundational points. And then once we've kind of zeroed in on what that struggle is or the result we're looking for, then we do what you and I just did in the beginning, which is we create that mind map to start bringing some of those ideas and things to the surface. And then we go through and we create a structure for the book in a Google Doc. We create the headings, the chapters, the headings, the subheadings, all the little buckets where they can start filling in and writing the details. And that allows them to move throughout the book, and they don't have to do it linear. They can jump in on different sections as they think of things, or repurpose content they have and cut and paste it in there and just do some editing. that kind of thing. But the most important part is you want some sort of foundation laid. You don't want to just open up your computer and just start typing and just start vomiting everything you know, because that's just going to create a mess and it's going to be really hard for you to edit and organize. So anyway, if you like these tips, if you'd like to get more, please subscribe to my channel. And in the descriptions, I've put all kinds of resources and things you can get that will actually help you with this process. It's some documents and ebooks I put together for free. And also, if you'd like to join in the discussion with us, please go to Facebook and join our Right to Publish group with Wooster Media. And I've also put a link in the description so you can get there really quickly. But that's a place where we collaborate, we have a discussion, you can ask me questions, and I just pop in and do some Facebook Lives and stuff. So anyway, please join us. And until then, remember, small intentional actions lead to a huge impact.